Okay, we'll start. And last time we had stopped at looking just at the relation between utility function and preferences. So utility function is just imposing a mathematical structure over the preference ordering. And we had said that the numbers in the allotted by the utility function don't really matter. And that's why we can take also a monotonic transformation of it. So today, let's look at some utility functions, and mostly we will be working with the concept of indifference curves. So we'll also see the relation between utility functions and indifference curves. So as I said, any mathematical function that you can think of, a three-dimensional mathematical function that can be used as a valid utility function. So some examples of utility functions would be root xy, simply xy, x plus 2y, or anything of this sort, 2x plus 3y, 5x plus y, and so on and so forth. Then we could also have root x plus y. So the difference between the first one and this one is that here x and y are being multiplied and the square root is over the product. Here the square root is only on x and y is just being added outside of root x. Okay, so some of these utility functions we will see commonly in the questions also. Then we could have x square plus y square, or even 3x square plus y square, and so on. Okay, so actually this is like a, we can also write it as a z function, as z equals f of xy, which I can just call as root xy, and so on and so forth. But now, right now, because we are dealing with consumer theory, we just want to call it by the utility function name, and that's why we are calling it u. Okay, so now first let us take a look at the three-dimensional shape of these functions, and hopefully by the end of that we will be able to appreciate the need for these indifference curves. Why is it that we can't work with utility functions? Why is it that we have to first translate them into indifference curves, and what will be the relation between the two? So let's look at that. um, are you able to see this screen, the one with the graph?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. All right. So some of the functions that I showed that are written, those are the functions that I will now be drawing using this software. So because it's a three-dimensional function, as I had mentioned before also, we can't draw it in a two-dimensional plane. We will need a three-dimensional space because we need one axis to measure x, the other axis to measure y, and the third axis, the blue one, to measure utility or the height of the function. So that's why we are using a software to just see how do these functions look like. No one is going to ask you to draw these functions themselves. However, you will definitely be asked to draw the indifference curves. So the functions you can't draw without software, without this kind of a three-dimensional graphing software. But indifference curves you can draw by hand also, because that just has to be drawn on a paper. So that's what we are going to see. How do we get the indifference curves from the three-dimensional function? So let's start with the first function, that was root xy. So we can also write it as xy whole to the power 0.5. So if you just, if I ask, drop in the command to the software, this is the kind of surface or the shape that you get for this utility function. Or this is root xy. So maybe I can annotate also side by side. So this is your square root xy. I am restricting the drawing to the first quadrant only, because we can't consume negative quantities of any good. So mathematically this function could be, could have points in the other quadrants as well, but I am just drawing it for the first quadrant because x and y both have to be positive. Let's now look at another function, that is just xy. Okay, so this one is now, the brown one is xy. So maybe I can remove the blue one. The new one that I have drawn is just xy, u equals xy. Similarly, so these again have some kind of a curvature, they're increasing, and then there's a bulge out even in the other function. There was like a bulging thing that you can see. So that kind of a surface, it's just obtained by this equation. We can also have other functions. So this is a simpler function, just x plus 2y. I should remove this. Okay, so this is, again, I have just drawn it in the first quadrant. So it looks like this kind of a plane. So it's just this is a linear equation, right? It's linear equation in 3 dimensions. So it just like a linear equation in 2 dimensions looks like a line, a straight line. A linear equation in a 3 dimension looks like this kind of a plane. You can't see, I mean, it's not a triangle shape, it's a plane. It's like a paper that's kind of going through the entire 3-dimensional surface. We can't see the entire thing because of the dimensions of the window. That's why, but I mean, just keep in mind that this is going to extend up till infinity basically. Okay, so this is x plus 2y. We can also take a look at this. Again, I have just drawn it for my first quadrant. This is x square plus, so this is x square. Where is the, yeah, this one is x square plus y square. So let me get rid of this one. Fine. So this looks like a, you might have heard this name in your MME course. This is a paraboloid. Okay, so if it's actually like a, it's actually a cup shaped. So maybe let me edit the function and show you the exact actual function if I don't impose the restrictions. Let me just edit it here. Okay, so if I don't put the restriction that I only want it in the first quadrant, then it's going to look like this kind of a cup shape, which is a upward opening cup shape, which is basically just a paraboloid. Okay, so I have restricted it to just the first quadrant. That's why we are only seeing one part of it. Let me just put the restrictions back. All right, so we're just seeing that curved part of that cup of this form. So you can already see that oh yeah, and the last one, sorry, that I wanted to show is this one, that is square root x plus y. So the square root is just on x and the two are being added. So root of x plus y, and the shape in 3 dimension will look like this. So from here itself, you can see that first of all, it's fairly complicated to draw utility functions by hand. Computer can do it, but we can't. I mean, maybe some of them you can. The linear one probably you can. Some artists probably will be able to draw, give some kind of a 3-dimensional effect to the figure. But in general, it's going to be quite difficult to draw most of these functions. Fine. Also, changing the equation of the function, changing the mathematical structure of the function is also going to change the shape. So sometimes you can get a linear function if you use a linear equation, or you can get this kind of a curved thing if you use a different functional form. Okay, so we have a variety of utility functions because we have a variety of mathematical functional forms. From here now, we want to then motivate the reason why we want to study indifference curves instead of utility functions. So utility functions, we just saw, are difficult to draw by hand because we need a 3-dimensional space to draw them. So instead of utility functions, what we'll do is we will use indifference curves as a 2-dimensional representation of a 3-dimensional function. So 2-dimensional representation of the 3-dimensional function means that we'll use the utility function that is given to us, but instead of drawing it in 3 dimensions, we will try to draw it in 2 dimensions with the help of indifference curves. So first, to just define indifference curves refer to curves or locus which give us the same level of utility. Same level of utility uh, corresponding to that particular utility function. So a given indifference curve, all points on one indifference curve will have the same level of utility. Then the next indifference curve, it's going to have another level of utility, and so on and so forth. In the second semester maths course, you had studied something that we called level curves of a function of fxy. Indifference curves are nothing but your level curves. Okay, so indifference curves, level curves, when we call them in consumer theory, we'll call them indifference curves. When we use the same concept, mathematical concept in producer theory, we will call them isoquants and so on and so forth. So it's just actually a mathematical concept of level curves that we are applying in microeconomics, and we're calling it indifference curves. So same level of utility means if two bundles give you same level of utility, that means you are indifferent between those bundles that we have already defined through our preference ordering. So therefore, indifference curves are just connecting all the points which give me the same level of utility from a given utility function. So let's also see this graphically, and then we will come back to this. So to look at indifference curves of, let's say, this first function, this square root xy, just write it. Remember that the height of the function is giving me the utility level. So I want, for example, all points that give me utility equal to 1 on this surface. Then I want all points that give me utility 2 on the surface, and so on and so forth. To obtain that, what I can do is cut this or intersect this surface with a plane at this height. So z equal to 1, z equal to 1 here means u equal to 1, and another plane that is z equal to 2. So you see these two planes intersecting the surface, the utility function, the blue utility function at these two heights. Now what I'm going to see, I'm not interested in all these other points which are not on my utility function. I'm interested in the points that are on the utility function at a height of 2 or at a height of 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to intersect these two surfaces so that we can see them more clearly. Okay, and this is the intersection, the black outline and the orange outline. Now, because we are saying that the whole purpose of indifference curves is just to see it in 2 dimension rather than 3 dimension, I'll get rid of my surface and this, and just rotate my diagram to just see it in 2 dimensions. Right, so you have definitely seen this kind of an indifference curve, this C kind of a shape, which is inward bowing shape that we usually draw. So this is where that shape is coming. It's not just coming randomly. It has been drawn as a level curve of the utility function root of xy. Is this clear? Is this making sense? Any questions here? No? Fine? You're able to follow? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right? So, so this utility function will give you an indifference curve of this form. Yeah, one second. Yes, Oishika, you had raised your hand.
Ma'am, are you showing this with respect to all the functions that you have written down on the previous?
This one is for, that's for, this one is for root xy. When I change the function, the indifference curve will also change.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to change the function now. I'm going to take this intersection with a different function, and then you will be able to see that the shape of the indifference curve also changes. So right now what we have drawn, these C-shaped curves are for my root xy. Okay, so these are the indifference curves for this one. Now if we change it, so let me get rid of all this here. Now same utility level 1 and 2, I want, let's say, with my linear this function. So this is x plus 2y. Utility function is x plus 2y. I'm intersecting the function at z equal to 1 and z equal to 2, or you can also call it u equal to 1, u equal to 2. Then I'm going to intersect the blue planes and the purple line, the purple utility surface. Then I will just get rid of my function and now if I see it in 2-dimension, I will see that these indifference curves are actually just downward sloping straight lines. Okay, so we will do the algebraic, we'll see it algebraically also. Why is it that we are getting this kind of a shape? But the moment I change the utility function, the shape of the indifference curve is going to change, because where the plane, in what way does the plane intersect the surface, that's going to determine your indifference curve. So if it intersects in this kind of a curved shape, so that's what we saw here. If it intersects like this curved shape, then we'll get these curved indifference curves. If the intersection is along a straight line, then we will just get downward sloping straight lines as our indifference curve. We can also try this with, I'll need to get rid of all of this. Yeah, we can also try this with this function x square plus y square, which was the upward opening cup, of which I have only taken a part. If the two planes intersect this surface now, and again I will take the intersection and drop it in, sorry, I have used the wrong one, I think. Yeah, these two, and then I drop it on 2-dimension and remove everything that I don't need, then I will see indifference curves looking like this. So there is no compulsion that any indifference curve always has to have this kind of a shape. This shape we will get if the utility function is xy, or it is root xy, and so on and so forth. Again, we'll do it algebraically. But if the function is of the form x square plus y square, or if it is of the form 3x square plus 5y square and so on, then it is going to have this kind of an it's not a C shape, it's like, you can say it's a D shape, it's it's a flipped over C shape that we are getting. Okay, so again, this is just dependent on the utility function that you are working with. You will get different indifference curves for corresponding utility functions. Is this fine? Should I move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so let's I'll just remove all of this. We'll go back to the notes section. I hope I have not missed any of the functions. Yeah, okay. So here again, I have just shown you indifference curves of 3 functions, but if you can think of a variety, if you can think of 10 utility functions, the indifference curves of all of those utility functions could be different depending upon the functional form that we are working with. So I will remove this now. So let's move further. So let's just recap. Now I'm of course not going to draw the 3-dimension. I'll just draw the indifference curves. So indifference curves for this function looked like this, x and y here. I haven't shown this, but indifference curves of this function are also going to look like this. So it's going, I'll just algebraically I'll show why is that true. Indifference curves of this linear function looked like straight lines, and this one also I didn't show. This is going to look like, sorry, this is going to look like this. Okay, and this one we saw, it had a very different shape, perhaps something that we haven't seen so far. These looked like this. Okay, now where is it that we are getting these shapes from? So these shapes, you can say that they are 2-dimensional figures, they are 2-dimensional shapes. So we can use a equation in just 2 variables to describe these curves. So this function describes a 3-dimensional surface because it has 3 variables. Utility is also a variable because the moment you change x and y, utility itself is going to change. For the indifference curves, we have kind of got rid of the utility in a way that one particular curve gives me one particular level of utility. Okay, so I'm not measuring utility along the axis, I'm measuring utility along the curve itself. So that's going to tell us how do we draw indifference curves. Let's take a simpler example. Suppose utility is 3x plus y. Okay, what am I doing? I mean, geometrically, what did I do? I fixed this utility level to some constant. I took 1 and 2. You could have taken any constants that you wanted, but the point is that I fixed it to some constant. So let me just call it some constant k. Now this k is not a variable. U is a variable. Utility was a variable, but now I am fixing it to some constant. That means the meaning of, actually, let me just write it more specifically. So fixing utility level to k, we will get the equation as 3x plus y equal to k, where k is a constant. In words, what this means is all xy combinations or all xy bundles that give me same utility level equal to k. Fine. So what is this saying? I now want those combinations of x and y which will give me utility of simply k. Now k, I can choose it to be anything that I want. I can take maybe k equal to, let me take 3 and let me take 6. It will just be easier to draw. That's why I'm taking these constants. Now this is simply an, if I just rewrite, it's an equation in two variables. These equations you should be familiar with, right? These are just equations in two variables. This is linear equation in two variables. So if I rewrite it so that I put y on the left hand side and everything else on the right hand side, I will simply get y equals 3 minus 3x here, and here I will get y equals 6 minus 3x. So these now are linear equations which I can also attempt to draw in 2 dimensions. Can someone give it a try? What will I mean, how will we draw these two? Let's draw this one first. What is the vertical intercept of this equation? What is the horizontal intercept?
Y axis vertical intercept is
Y equals?
3. When x is 0,
Vertical
y
intercept will be, yeah, your volume is a little low. If you could adjust that. I'm not able to hear clearly.
is it audible now?
Yeah, it's better. Yes, so this one will be, y-intercept will be what?
3. When x is 0, y will be 3.
That's right. And when y is 0, x is going to be equal to 1. So this is a straight line with slope minus 3. Is that, yeah, minus 3. Okay, so just 3 divided by 1 with, and because it's downward sloping, I'm putting the minus sign in front of it. Similarly, for this one, y is going to be equal to 6 here, and this one is going to be x equal to 2. I haven't drawn it to scale, so it may not look very accurate. But again, this is another straight line with a slope, downward sloping straight line with slope minus 3. So what these, I have just drawn two indifference curves. You can draw as many as you want. Just keep changing the value of k and you will get those many indifference curves. So you can take 3x plus y equal to 2, 3x plus y equal to 5. You can take 3x plus y equal to 5.5 also if you want. You will just keep getting parallel lines of this form. Okay, and these all are indifference curves of the utility function given by 3x plus y. Okay, so again, understanding what's the difference between utility function and indifference curve is important here. If I write it like this with utility on one side and x and y on the other side, this is a utility function. Once I change it to k and then allot some values to k, then it becomes an indifference curve. So at this step, it has become an indifference curve giving me utility equal to k. I'm fixing the utility at k. Basically, it's the same step as intersecting that plane at height k with the utility surface. These two specifically are utility at level 3 and utility at level 6. So this, along this line, which was this one, all points along this line will give me a utility of 3. All points on this line will give me a utility of 6 according to this utility function. If I change the utility function, then some other points will give me utility of 3, which we'll again just see in a moment. Okay, so because of this functional form, once you rewrite it in 2 dimensions, once you rewrite it with just 2 variables, you get a straight line. Okay, but all utility functions are unfortunately not going to be so straightforward, which is why you will need to revise your curve sketching from first and second semester, mostly first semester. I will send you some notes that will help you to just brush up on the curve sketching aspects, but like some of the like rectangular, hyperbola, circle, all of these you will need to remember how do we draw these indifference curves, okay, because this will be like 2 or 3 marks in the final exam. So let's take another utility function. Let's just take xy. Okay, u equals xy. This is right now a utility function. If I want indifference curves from this, I'm going to set it equal to k. So that gives me xy equals k. Rewriting it so that I put y on one side and x on the other side, I'll get it as y equals k by x. So this one now, I can again take different values, k equal to 1, 2, 3, and so on. And I will get y equals 1 by x, 2 by x, 3 by x, and so on. All of these, if you recall, are rectangular hyperbolas, which will look like this. So this shape is coming again from the utility function, and here this one will be u equal to 1, u equal to 2, u equal to 3, and so on. So if you draw more, you can like just label higher utility functions accordingly. Okay, so these kind of functions where you have x and y kind of being multiplied together, all of these will have this kind of a shape. So instead of xy, if I take it as root xy, that's also going to have the same shape. X to the power 1 by 3, y to the power 2 by 3, that's also going to have the same shape. Xy square, same shape. X square y, same shape. All of these are going to basically just have the same shape. So if you just remember what's the shape of rectangular hyperbola, then you will be able to draw all of these. But of course, first you'll have to recognize whether I mean, these are actually rectangular hyperbolas in 2 dimensions. So easy way to remember rectangular hyperbola is if you have y on the left hand side and some constant on the right hand side and some expression of x. So it could be either x or it could be x square or it could be x to the power half and so on. So all of these are going to look like these C-shaped only, but it's important to first rewrite it in this form and then check whether you're actually getting the equation of a rectangular hyperbola. Okay, so that gives us the these kind of shapes. Let's look at the other shape that we saw. This is your utility function. In 3 dimension, this is a paraboloid. I'm not very sure about the spelling, so please just check it. Paraboloid, I guess. To get your indifference curves, we'll set it equal to k. Now here, and let me just take k equal to 2 or something. So I'll get x square plus y square equal to 2, x square plus y square equal to 5, and so on. In this case, actually, it will not really help to rewrite it. But from this equation itself, if you just see closely, this is of the form x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square equal to 2. And this is x minus h whole square, y minus k whole square equal to 5. Okay, so do you recall from maybe your school math, etc., what is this an equation of? So I can always write this as x minus 0 whole square, y minus 0 whole square. So what does this look like an equation of?
Circle.
Circle, exactly. Very good. So this is equation of a circle with center at 0, 0 and radius is going to be √2. So that's why then, if you remember, the indifference curves looked like this. So actually I was only drawing it in the first quadrant. So we were only seeing part of the indifference curve. This portion we weren't seeing, the full circle we weren't seeing, we were only seeing it as this arc, but actually the indifference curves will simply look like circles. Since we are only drawing it in the first quadrant, we will just see that small portion of the curve. So again, depending on the kind of function that is, you will have different shape of the indifference curves. I'll give you practice for different functions and to draw indifference curves. So that should again revise how to draw in 2-dimension these kind of functions. So once you identify what kind of a function is it, then hopefully it will be easier to draw. So linear equations, rectangular hyperbolas, this kind of circle equation, maybe even if it was like something like 3x square plus y square, then it would have just been an equation of an ellipse. So that would also look like this. It's just that the two intercepts would be different. Here with the circle, the two intercepts are equal. Both are √2. Okay. In this case, if it is 3x square plus y square or y square, x square plus 5y square or something like that, then shape will more or less be same. It will just not be, the two intercepts are not going to be the same. Okay. So let's first look at indifference curves more generally, and then we'll look at some specific examples of it. So again, as I said, what is the indifference curve telling us? It is identifying for us all the bundles which are as good as each other. So if I take any bundle on this indifference curve and I mark it with this point, then all the bundles which are on the indifference curve passing through this point, they are all giving me the same utility as this point. Similarly, if I take another point on a different indifference curve, all the points passing through or the curve, all the points lying on the curve passing through this point are all giving me the same utility. Okay, so we will use this intuition to just look at some general shapes of the indifference curves. Let's say that
And in this case, for this chapter, are we going to work with only the first quadrant?
yeah, if you when you draw the indifference curve, you will draw it in the first quadrant because because x and y have to be positive. X and y are, remember, quantities of the commodities that we are purchasing. So we can't consume -5 ice creams and -10 chocolates. Okay, so that means x has to be positive and y has to be positive, which means we will always be just interested in the shape in the first quadrant. In the other quadrants, it might be doing something else. We are only concerned with the first quadrant. Okay, so let's yeah. Oh, what's happening? Yes. So let's just see. So these will be now departures from what you have seen in your intro micro course. Okay, so you will see a lot more variety of indifference curves, a lot more variety of their shapes and so on. So let's just take a look at general shapes. Okay, so let's assume now that the two commodities that I am purchasing are both goods. So goods means, we are taking the literal meaning of good here. Good means something that I like or something that I desire. And I want to draw indifference curves when both the commodities are goods. So I'm not giving you specific utility functions here. We are just trying to imagine what will general indifference curves look like when both the commodities are goods. So to do this, we're going to do an activity. let's say I start from this bundle and I want an indifference curve that shows me all bundles or all points which give me same utility as this bundle. So both commodities are goods. So let's say this is this gives me a utility of 1. I'm just taking some number that I like. Let's say this point, I know that it gives me a utility of 1. If I move a little bit to the right of this, will this point, will the red point give me higher utility or lower utility than the black one? If both commodities are goods, that means if I get more of that commodity, I will be happier. So the difference between these 2 points is that the red one has more of X and the same amount of Y compared to the black point. So am I happier at the red one or am I happier at the black one?
Red.
You're happier at the red one. Okay. So can these two lie on the same indifference curve if both the commodities are goods?
No.
Because I mean, if the utility, if this is giving me more happiness or more utility than 1, then maybe this is 1.5, etc. I want all bundles which give me same utility as 1. So these 2 points can't be on the same indifference curve. Now, if I move further up from this point and reach this point, yellow one, will this give me higher utility than 1.5 or lower?
Higher.
Higher. Now, because now it has the same amount of X, but it has more amount of Y. So this point and this point also, so this is something like U equal to 2 maybe. Okay. So this point and this point also can't be on the same indifference curve, which means instead of moving up from this point, I should instead move down. There will be some point where my utility reduces to equal to 1. So what am I doing here from this point? I mean, and when I moved from here to here, I gave you more X. So that made me happier. But from this point to this point, I reduced Y, which made me less happy. And if I remove enough Y from your bundle after giving you a little more of X, you will reach some point where your utility will be exactly equal to 1. So that's why we get this kind of a downward sloping shape of indifference curve when both the commodities are goods. That is, both the commodities are desirable. More of both the goods is better in this case. Okay, we'll just compare it right now to another case where both commodities don't have this feature. Both commodities don't have, they are not goods, and we'll see how the indifference curves are going to look different. This is possibly something not that you have seen in your previous intro level courses. So if here I start from a bundle from this, let's say U equal to 1, and now I am considering that X is bad and Y is good, which means if you give me more of Y, I am happier, but if you give me more of X, I am worse off. Okay, so we will later see what kind of utility functions are going to capture these kind of commodities. But right now, again, we're just drawing a general indifference curve. So from this point now, if I move to a point like this, am I happier here or was I happier at the black point?
Happier at the previous one.
Happier at the previous one. Now what I have done is I have given you the same level of Y, but I have given you more of the commodity that you don't like. That means you must have been better off at the black point rather than the new one. You don't like the new point because you haven't increased the good thing, but you have increased the bad thing that I don't really like. So this is going to give you some utility. Let's just call it 0.5. Okay. Now if I go down from this point, will this point give me lower utility or higher utility than 0.5?
Lower utility.
Lower utility. Not only did I give you more of the bad commodity, I also took away some of the good commodity, right? So moving from here to here, I increased X, and X is a bad, moving from here to here, I reduced y, and y is a good. So whatever happiness I had at this point, I'm going to have even lower happiness at this point. So in this case, when x is a bad, y is a good, instead of moving in this direction, if I instead move in the opposite direction, then because I have given you more x, which you don't like, but I'm also compensating you by giving more y, which means that's going to increase your happiness, and at some point you will reach the same utility as 1 where we started from, because I mean all these points will give you higher utility than 0.5. So at some point you will also get utility of equal to 1. So in this case, actually your indifference curves will have this kind of a shape. They will be positively sloped rather than downward sloping. So this is when we have x as a bad and y as a good. Is this clear?
Yes.
Why are we getting upward sloping indifference curves rather than downward sloping?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so far?
ma'am.
Yeah? Okay, good. Similarly, now can you do it, try it out for the opposite case, similar but opposite case, when we have y is a bad and x is a good. Just take a minute and just try to do this kind of an intuitive exercise and tell me what shape will the indifference curves have with this combination of commodities. So yes, so now we are saying y is a bad, x is good. So let's start from point here, u equal to 1. Now if I go in, you'll have to you choose a different direction in this case actually. So let's start by going in this direction. So if you reach this point, now are you happier or worse off?
Worse off.
Worse off, because it's the same x and the bad commodity has been increased. So this
Worse off.
u equals 0.5. Now, so I have taken away some happiness from you, and I want to give back enough happiness to you so that you still have utility equal to 1. So should I move to the right or should I move to the left?
Right.
To the right.
You should move to the right, because I have made you unhappy by giving you more of the bad commodity. Now I am giving you some additional happiness by giving you more of the good commodity. Okay, so I will move in this direction, and somewhere again you will just reach a point u equal to 1. In this case also you're going to get upward sloping indifference curves.
Upward sloping.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can compare maybe point on this indifference curve and this one just to check. These 2 points have the same level of y and more of x. So which one is going to be a better utility? So these 2 points are not of the same utility, right? Because these two are not on the same indifference curve. All these points are utility 1 and these all points are some other level of utility. Does this point have higher utility than 1 or lower?
Higher.
Higher, because it has the same amount of the
Uh,
bad commodity, but it has
but
more of the good commodity. So this is going to be a higher, let's just call it, it's maybe u equal to 2 or something like that. Okay, so in this case also we have upward sloping indifference curves. In this case also we have upward sloping indifference curve. So how will we distinguish between the two? In this case, note that utility is increasing in this direction, right? So this was utility 1, this was utility 2. You can compare it by just taking these 2 points and seeing that both these points have the same level of y, but this one has more of x, so this will be preferred to this, which means this will have a higher utility value compared to this one. So even though this is like a lower curve, it has a higher utility. Okay, so that point is very important. This is a lower, visually this is a lower curve, it's like below this curve. Let me maybe just highlight it so that I can refer to it easily. The blue shaded curve is lying below the green curve. Okay, but the utility associated with the blue shaded curve is higher than the utility along the green curve. So this is actually a higher utility. I mean, this is corresponding to a higher utility height or higher function height, which means the utility is increasing in this direction. That means from this point, if you give me or give me bundles in this direction, then I will be happier. Intuitively, just remember that y is a bad. So I'm just trying to run away from the bad commodity, and to run away from the bad commodity, I just want to come closer and closer to the x-axis, because at this point there is no y is equal to 0, and I have some positive commodity of x. So I just want to go move in this direction to increase my utility. In this case, it's the opposite, because now again, if you just compare the blue curve and the green one, let's take 2 points on this. So compared to the red point, the black point has same level of x, but red has more y. Y is a good, x is a bad. So this point has more of the good commodity, which means between these two, I'm going to prefer the red point, which means all the points on this indifference curve are better than any point on this indifference curve, which means my utility is increasing in this direction. Again, the same kind of reasoning. X is a bad, so I want to run away from it. So run away means I want to come closer and closer to the y-axis, which means I will move in this direction. Okay, so although both have same shape in terms of upward sloping indifference curves, but the arrow will tell us whether x is a bad or whether y is a bad. So always when you draw indifference curves, also just draw a small arrow indicating to yourself which is the good commodity and which is the bad one. In this case, the arrow will be in this direction because both are goods. So the arrow is always pointing to the good commodity. So in this case, both are goods. That means more of x and more of y is both good, which means I want to move in this direction. Finally, let's do if both are bad. So x and y are both bads. Although we might not see examples of this kind because it's not very interesting. If both are bads, then why am I even consuming anything? Okay, but just as a theoretical curiosity, we can discuss this. Here also, if I start from this point and I get more x, I will be worse off. So if this is happy, this will be like this kind of a average phase, loss of happiness has taken place. And now if I give you more y, it will not compensate you, it will actually make you worse off, because y is also a bad. So I have, from this point, in moving from this point to this point, I have increased the bad commodity x and I have increased the bad commodity y also. So you will be definitely worse off here than you were compared to the original point. So instead of moving like this, if I just move like this, I have given you some bad commodity x, but if I take away the other bad, then you will be restored your original level of happiness along somewhere along this direction. So this is going to give you perhaps same level of utility. So in this case also, your indifference curves will be downward sloping. These 2 points are equally good to each other, and these all points are equally good to each other. Here also, now can you tell me in which direction should I point the arrow? So how does it, how is this diagram different from this one? This is also downward sloping curve, this is also downward sloping curve. So how will we know just by looking at the diagram whether both are goods or both are bads?
Ma'am, it's in first case, we will be in a better position if we consume a higher indifference curve, like the outer one. And in
Right?
the last case, if we choose an indifference curve which is closer to the origin, we will be better off.
Correct, exactly. So my arrow should point in this direction. Again, both x and y are bads. So I want to run away to this origin point because origin point is both x equal to 0, y equal to 0. I don't want to consume any of the bads. So I want to consume 0 of x and 0 of y. That means I want to come closer and closer to the origin. So the direction again will tell me that x and y are bads in this case. Okay, so even when we do it algebraically, some indifference curves will look look exactly the same, but they will still represent different utility functions, and the arrow will tell you whether one of the goods is a bad in, or one of the commodities is a bad in the diagram. So just by looking at the diagram, you will be able to tell something about the nature of the commodities also. Let's just do the
Like
last.
direction or anything will be given in the diagram so that we can identify, like what would the question like?
What could you repeat that?
I'm asking that in case of say 1 and 4, how are we going to differentiate it? Like if they give us some objective curve, so any arrow or anything will be mentioned by which we can identify.
So that's what,
Both the
when you draw it, either you write, I mean, you can write also that both are bads. From the function itself, there will be some mathematical way to find whether both are bads or not, that we will discuss later on when we are discussing the properties. From the diagram, if you point this arrow like this, it is understood that you mean that x and y are both bads. And in this, when the arrow is in this direction, it means that x and y are both goods. That means you want to increase both x and y like this, and in this case you want to decrease both x and y. Is that fine?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so last, let's just discuss neutral goods and satiation points, and then we will stop for today. It's been almost an hour. So a bad commodity is something that actually makes you worse off. A neutral commodity, on the other hand, is about which you are neutral. More or less of it, it's not going to increase your happiness, but it's also not going to decrease your happiness. So you are just meh about it. It doesn't matter whether you have more of that commodity or less of that commodity. So let's say that in this case, x is a neutral and y is a good. And then here we'll consider the opposite case. Y is neutral and x is a good. And we also again want to see how will the indifference curves look like. So let's say you start from a point here. If I compare it to a point here, which one is higher utility?
Red.
Why does the red one have higher utility?
Oh, it's the same utility.
Exactly, good. So both these have the same utility because it has the same level of
Is it the
y,
same
and
utility?
only x is increasing, and I don't care about x. If you give me more x, it's not going to make me any happier. It's also not going to make me any worse off. It won't make me sad, but it won't also make me happy. So these 2 points are exactly on the same indifference curve. They give me exactly the same utility level because my utility is just determined by the good commodity. The neutral does not have any impact on my utility. So in this case, the indifference curves will look like horizontal lines, and the direction of increasing utility will be up. So more y that you give me, I'm going to be happier and happier because I don't really care about the amount of x that I'm getting. So x is not a bad in this case, but you're just kind of indifferent about how much quantity of x you have. Here, it's like just by understanding the pattern, you can see that if this is the point, a point like this is going to give me exactly the same utility as this point, because now I have kept x amount same, and y, the neutral good is more over here compared to this, but the neutral good doesn't increase or decrease my happiness. If it neither increases nor decreases, that means this utility and this utility are exactly the same, and therefore the indifference curves will look like this with the arrow pointing in this direction. So I just want more of X, but it doesn't matter how much Y do I have. I will not really be affected by it. Is this fine? Yeah. Okay. And let's now consider the last case, which is sort of the amalgamation of all the cases that we have discussed so far. This is called the bliss point or saturation point or the satiety point or satiety point. So bliss point means something that is the best bundle that you can achieve. So in this case, let's say this is the best bundle that you have. Now this is the absolute best. That means even if you move slightly in any direction, that's definitely going to give you lower happiness, no matter whether you increase or decrease any of the commodities. Okay, so what we are saying is that there is some exact bundle or exact combination of X and Y that gives me the maximum happiness. If you either increase or decrease X or Y from that bundle, then it's going to necessarily reduce my happiness. In this case, the indifference curves are going to look like circles or concentric circles, or I mean, it could be this kind of a diamond shaped also. But the point is that the closer you are to the bliss point, that is what gives you the highest possible level of utility. So in this case, the direction of utility is going to be towards the bliss point. So if you are here, you want to move like this. If you are here, you want to move like this. If you are here, you want to move like this. And if you are here, you want to move like this. The reasoning behind this kind of a bliss point is, in a way, we have already discussed that. So in some ways, like the excess consumption of anything also can be sometimes called a bad. Okay, so if you have excess, if you are consuming chocolates too much, then at some level you'll just get sick of it. And even though it is a good when you have small quantities of it, I'm not really even talking about the health effects and it'll have bad effect on your teeth, etc. I'm saying actually you will consider it to be a bad in the sense now I am so full of that chocolate that if I consume more of it, it's actually going to make me worse off. I'm just not really even feeling the taste of it now. It's actually starting to taste bad if I just consume more and more of it. Okay, so in that sense, we are saying that this is my best bundle. This one is my best bundle. If I have more of X in the bundle, then also I'm worse off. If I have more of Y in the bundle, then I'm also worse off. And of course, if I have less of either, then definitely I'm going to be worse off. So just note that in this area or in this segment of the indifference curve, this looks like our first case when both were goods. Okay, so what we are, and the direction is also pointing like this. So what we are saying is when we are at this point, where anywhere on this segment, I have not reached my bliss point yet. I am at a bundle which has less of X and less of Y. Okay, so now I still yearn for more of my, more of both the commodities, which means I still want to move in this direction. If I am, however, on this segment, the diametrically opposite segment, then I have too much of, if it's a point like this, if it's a point like this, let's say, I have too much of X, I have more X than what is there at my bliss point, and I have more Y than what is there at my bliss point. So if this was 5 and this was 7, at a point like this, I have 8 and 9 or something like that. Okay, so I have too much of X and too much of Y, which means both the commodities have now become a bad for me, which means I want to move closer to my bliss point, just like we had in this case. So we have again downward sloping indifference curve, but pointing in the direction of reducing both the quantities, reducing both the commodities, because I want to reduce it to get my to get closer to my bliss point. Along this region, now can you tell me what case does it capture from among these four? With respect to my bliss point, which commodity is more and which commodity is less on the blue shaded area?
X is less, Y is more.
X is less and Y is more. So from this vertical line, I am to the left of the vertical line. That means I have less than 5 units of X, but I have more than 7 units of Y. That means I am now too saturated with Y, but I don't have enough X. So I want to then move in a direction which gives me more X and takes away some of my Y. In some sense, Y has become a bad, but X is still a good commodity for me. That means I want more of X and I want less of Y. So I'll move in this direction to get closer to my bliss point. Similarly, at the opposite segment, it's the opposite case where compared to my bliss point, I have more X, I have too much X, but I don't have enough Y. So X is a bad in this segment, Y is a good notionally, and I want to move in this direction which increases my Y and reduces my X so that I can reach my best bundle, which gives me maximum amount of happiness. So in some sense then this kind of shape of the indifference curve captures all of the sub cases. Let me just write it here. So in just this segment you have Y bad and X good. In this segment you have both bad. In this segment you have X bad Y good, and in this segment you have both goods. So we are not saying that the commodity is changing. We are just saying that how you perceive that commodity is going to change depending on how much or how little of that commodity you have. So if you have just got tired of some commodity which might be giving you happiness, once you get tired of it, then it kind of turns notionally into a bad. You perceive it to be a bad commodity and you then want to move away from that commodity. In that sense, these bliss point indifference curves kind of capture the all of the cases of bad and good combinations that we have discussed so far. So circles can also represent saturation point bundles. Okay, so if I have let's say x minus 10 whole square minus y minus 10 whole square, these indifference curves, if my utility function is this, these indifference curves will indicate that 10 comma 10 is my bliss point, and so this is again circle, so centered around 10 comma 10. So around 10 comma 10 I have circles like this. The further I go, the lower my utility is. So my utility increases in this direction because 10 comma 10 gives me the highest level of happiness. Okay, so we can stop here and we'll take up like properties of indifference curves and some specific utility functions and indifference curves in the next class. Hopefully we should finish it. I might take a longer class on Friday to just so that we can just finish it, and because we should start the next topic by next week. Is that fine? Any doubts still here?
Ma'am, in this case, the part where we are showing X is good and Y, the blue part.
This one,
Over
yeah.
Yeah, over that, how is it resembling the diagram which we took in the first course?
This was also upward sloping. This is also upward sloping, and the direction is in this direction. So when we had X bad and नहीं, X कौन सा वाला ये है? X good and Y bad. So X good Y bad was this diagram. So the arrow is in this direction and the curves are upward sloping. So don't go by कि ये line जैसा दिख रहा है. I mean any kind of upward sloping shape is also fine. Even this is also fine as long as it is upward sloping. That's why I said that the arrow will tell you which commodity is a good or a bad. So here it's upward sloping, and just in this segment till these boundaries it is upward sloping, and the arrow, I mean, you want to move in this direction to get to the bliss point, which means it is resembling the previous case that we discussed.
So whether it's a hyperbola, parabola, that does not matter.
No, yeah. The curvature, again, that will just depend upon your actual utility function, mathematically, the function that is given to you. But the direction is just indicated by whether it's a good or a bad. Okay, so whether it is curving or whether it is, so this will also, this here also it will be, even though it's a straight line, this is going to be x good, y bad, and this is going to be y good, x bad, with this being the bliss point, and you want to move like this, like this, like this, and like this. The actual curvature, it matters for other things, but in terms of which is a good, which is a bad, only the direction of the arrow and the slope, whether it's upward sloping, downward sloping, that will tell you whether it's good or a bad.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So let's stop here then if there are no further questions.
Ma'am, in class, SDG ma'am is doing